Every day is not Sunday. I know, today's Sunday. But why is this Sunday special? Because every day may be Sunday, but not every Sunday you get to see India playing Pakistan. Ye dono teams, they don't play bilaterals, which means this game becomes all the more special. Anyway, every time India play Pakistan, it is special. But in the Asia Cup with so much context, oh my God, it is so exciting. History is on India's side. Yes, they have a better head-to-head than Pakistan. Geography on Pakistan's because they play in the UAE and they just win. My heart rate is still not normal. Let me put it to just a normal state. You guys watch this. Goosebumps, absolute goosebumps. Those were, of course, moments from the Asia Cup. This is Asia Cup. India play Pakistan in their tournament opener in the Asia Cup. My name is Tanay Tiwari. Welcome to Cricbuzz Live. Today, I'm joined by exceptionally erudite people who I'm very, very excited to welcome on the group. Welcome, Mr. Joy Bhattacharya. Welcome, Mr. Parthiv Patel. My English is over, sir. Please take over.
Sir, I can't take over today because there's a lot going on. It's a match. So second half I'll take over.
Second half you'll take over?
I'll take.
What to do now, Parthiv?
I'm always ready to take over. I don't mind.
Yes, yes.
I like this.
So basically, I think we just saw the glimpse, and I went to 2003-04 Asia Cup when I went to Sri Lanka, where I think Shoaib Malik scored 142 or something. India lost to Pakistan that game, and India lost the finals as well against Sri Lanka. I think that was the Asia Cup. But yeah, it's great to see those pictures. Great to see all our greats doing well. And Asia Cup is always, it's like whatever you say, it's like it'll give you that mark that we are the best team in Asia, and going into World Cup, even this Asia Cup makes a lot of difference with the kind of team which we want to play, kind of combination we want to go with. So I think it is a very big series, and it could be a bilateral series, India versus Pakistan playing 3 games.
Yeah, 3 games, absolutely. There's a good chance to play 3 games. In fact, I remember the Asia Cup he's talking about in Sri Lanka because that was a series where India lost to Pakistan, but then made it to the finals because they scored a certain number of runs. I think that is the one. And I remember at that match, that was one of the first times where ESPN Star Sports had Hindi. Okay, and I remember that match was famous because right at the end, when India was playing Pakistan and India had to reach a certain amount, India was struggling, and then a black dog came in the stadium and started running around, and everyone chased the dog and got it away. Okay, but that basically after that India made that target and therefore qualified for the finals. So I remember before the finals we put up posters all over the place. We need this black dog. He's the mascot of the Indian team. Bring him back for the finals and all. But mila nahi kabhi.
Everything is fair in this India-Pakistan game. You've got to do everything. The fans, I know because I've been a fan all my life. I sit at one place, TV ka volume is just at that one number. So we've all done these things, of course. But back to this game, this is at the Dubai Stadium where India and Pakistan don't really have a lot of good memories for Indian fans from that last game, PPPedia. That last game in the T20 World Cup, will that have a bearing on India's mind now, or is this just a fresh start?
I think it's just a fresh game. I don't think India would be thinking, though the lineup would be almost same, but I don't think India would be thinking too much into that World Cup. Because if you look at India, now the record in that World Cup, toss was very crucial. If India had won the toss, it would have been a completely different story. And that Shaheen Afridi bowled those 2 balls to any batsman. He could have, he could have got out. He could have taken any wickets. So I think after that, the same Shaheen Afridi got hit for what Matthew Wade did him 3 sixes in an over. So I mean, that was probably India won't be thinking too much about what had happened in that game because this is new India. The captain's changed, the coaching staff has changed, the thinking has changed about how India wants to play T20 cricket. So I think it is it's going to be a new game, fresh game, but it is India-Pakistan. So that also makes it. But I don't think India will be thinking of that World Cup game for sure.
All right. So toss was a major factor in that T20 World Cup. Will it be a major factor this time around? Okay, let me ask this question first. It's a game, right? India-Pakistan, who's won the toss according to you? I have the news.
You have the news, I think.
Guess.
If it was Virat Kohli, I would have said Pakistan won the toss, but now it's Rohit Sharma, so the odds are towards Rohit Sharma.
I'll go with him. I'll go with him.
I'll go with them too. India won the toss. India won the toss and they've elected to bowl first.
Yeah.
And by what the evidence was last night, Joy, there wasn't a lot of dew, and there's been talk about it, and Rohit Sharma in his press conference also said that we've not encountered any dew. So that factor is out, that if you chase, that helps you. But still a good toss to win and still good conditions to enjoy.
No matter what it is, this is the same pitch in which Farooqi bowled yesterday.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of movement. So, whatever it is, even if it lasts for the first 3-4 overs, bowlers like Bhuvi and Arshdeep, they're skillful bowlers. They have the opportunity to get things out of this pitch. So it's a good toss to win. It's a good start. I'm not saying that losing the toss would have cost the game or whatever, but it's a really good toss to win. There is something in the pitch. This is not a flat deck.
Yeah, and absolutely what he said, this 3 or 4 overs makes a huge difference in T20 cricket.
Yeah.
You were just referring to last game against in the World Cup, where that 1 over only ball swung and he got 2 wickets. And
exactly.
I think, so that makes a big difference, especially when you are said you were trying to play in a certain way in first 6 overs. You want to go hard, and if ball swinging around, it's not that easy. So yeah, toss is definitely a good way to start the game, but yeah, it doesn't give you by any means that says that India has won the toss, so that India will win the game. Though we would want India to win, but it's not that. But yeah, it's a good toss to win.
All right, so game number 1 has been aced by our guests. It's time for game number 2. Only one of Dinesh Karthik and Rishabh Pant is playing. Who do you think is playing in the playing 11 today?
Look, I mean, barring injury, I'd be very surprised if Dinesh Karthik plays ahead of Rishabh Pant. It has to be Rishabh.
All right, your guess.
Yeah, but I think the way you were saying, I think Dinesh Karthik is playing the way you were saying it.
This master tactician, he's right. Dinesh Karthik is playing ahead of Rishabh Pant.
Yeah. No injury, no announcement of injury.
Nothing like that. No announcement.
So basically, that's what India has done, right? I'm rightfully. Whether rightfully or wrong, I mean, that's not the case. But I think, once you have someone as experienced as Dinesh Karthik or R. Ashwin, I think I would want them to play in the playing 11 rather than just warming the bench. And you've got him for a certain kind of role. And you want KL Rahul also playing. I'm sure KL Rahul is also playing.
We'll get that news to you very soon.
So if KL Rahul's playing, then you don't have a choice. You cannot play Dinesh Karthik and Rishabh Pant together.
No,
and they had to make that call that they want finishers in Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, and Dinesh Karthik. So I think they've invested in experience. They've invested in Dinesh Karthik's form, and I think this is how the team's thinking. That it just shows where team's thinking is lying.
Yeah, correct. Let's have a look at India's playing 11, Joy, and there's another surprise there. Avesh Khan is playing ahead of Ravichandran Ashwin. Now, so those are 2 big calls. What do you make of them?
2 big calls. One is that definitely I'd say that this is the pitch talking when you're talking about Avesh Khan, bowls a heavy ball up front. They may feel that Arshdeep is somebody they'll use at their death. Okay, that means we've stacked our bowling a bit, and we've stacked it towards pace rather than spin. So you stack it one way or the other. Because it's a very big decision. What he said is very true. That if you've got players like DK and Ashwin and you're carrying them for a tour, you've got to play them first. After that, if they fail and you drop them, that's a different matter. Or you don't take them for the next tour, or you don't take them for future. But when you bring experienced players into a team, you can't say, okay, come and sit down necessarily. You're going to say, we've brought you here to give you a chance, so karna ab dikhao. And that's why it's interesting. That means that definitely there's something in the pitch, because otherwise the general team management movement would have been to play somebody like Ashwin. If they're not playing him, that means definitely they feel this pitch really suits, medium fast bowling or fast bowling.
Yeah, and then the Hardik Pandya is another bowler as well.
Yeah,
so that means 4 fast bowlers. Ravindra Jadeja is bowling, and obviously Yuzi Chahal. Another big decision which was to make was to get KL Rahul into playing 11 or not. After not having too many games behind his back. But I think, what happens here is, in all likeliness, India will go to that Super 8 or Super 4 to the next round. That means before the final, KL Rahul will get 4 or 5 games. So that's what I think, that's the line which I think that Indian team is thinking about. Yes, KL Rahul hasn't played, but now that he plays against Pakistan, he plays against Hong Kong, then he plays another Super 4s, and in all likeliness, India will play final. It'll be very surprising that if India doesn't get into the final. So that's where they want to give games to KL Rahul.
If we take a look at that playing 11 again, Parthiv, the one thing that when the squad was selected was a point of contention as well. And if you look at that batting lineup, now you don't have any left-hander in those top 6. Of course, Ravindra Jadeja comes in as an all-rounder, but you don't have a left-hander in the top 6. Does that make a difference, or is it just a match of ploy that, of course, the right-handers can take care of?
Yeah, see, obviously, see, if you're a good batter, you're a good batter. It doesn't matter whether it's a right-handed or left-hand. But yes, lefty-righty does make a difference, and especially the way Ravindra Jadeja has improved his batting, I think it gives you that much of liberty where he can bat at 4, 5, wherever you want. And if there are 2 left-arm spinners are bowling, if you want to send Ravindra Jadeja wherever you want, you can do that, because that kind of batting he has improved as a batter. And then Dinesh Karthik will definitely bat at 7, or Dinesh Karthik will bat after 14th over or 15th over. That's the factor. That's the role that has been defined to. But yeah, Ravindra Jadeja can get in. Yes, I would have liked to see another left-hander. But if your batsmen are in that form, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's righty or lefty.
But is this then down to the thought process as well, Joy? Because we heard Rohit Sharma say that we will continue to try and experiment, but we also heard Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid at various points say that from the Asia Cup onwards, perhaps you'll start seeing combinations that we play in the T20 World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. And look, he's exactly right. If you look at this tournament, no matter what India does, unless India loses to both Pakistan and Hong Kong, what are the odds of that happening? Losing to Hong Kong, the odds are very, very low.
Yeah.
So in the Super 8, in the Super 4, there's no advantage or disadvantage of coming first or second in the group, because you're all playing each other. Okay? So there is no advantage. Literally, India is going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games out of which there's one easy game out here, which is Hong Kong. Okay? So I think this is your last. They look at it as where matches are not that crucial. It's not a knockout match. Like a World Cup, you knocked out, you lost at one match, immediately you were in a situation where you were under so much pressure in the next match that when you collapsed, you just collapsed. Okay, that's what happened to India. This is not a tournament which is designed like that. It's designed in a way that you have 5 matches to decide, get your form ready to go to the finals, which is why Parthiv is so confident, because it's not a knockout kind of encounter. Ek match mein kuch ho gaya, 2 wicket gir gaya, koi fast bowler aake le gaya, bas it's done. So that's why they've taken these teams, and they can take the liberties. They have the time. The big issue though is, have they had that chat with the top players? Because your top T20 players, okay, Suryakumar Yadav is the only batsman in that top 4 or 5 who is batting at the kind of run rate, or who starts with the kind of run rate which is required now in the way that India wants to play the game. Okay, Ishan Kishan is there, but he's not playing this tournament. So you have all these guys who are brilliant batsmen, some of the greatest batsmen the world has ever seen. I mean, Virat Kohli might end his career as the greatest ODI batsman ever. But right now on this form, is he going to watch and play, or is he going to go for it? And that's going to be a very important thing, because Indian management might say, give him a chance to sort of watch and play a bit and get into form. But is that the right thing for India or not? I mean, none of us know,
We'll come to that. We will come to that. Please don't preempt all my questions, Joy. I have only a limited set of questions prepared. But let's have a look at Pakistan's playing 11, of course. Pakistan fans have been waiting. They're saying, oh, you're only discussing India. Of course, we'll come to Pakistan. Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan, the openers, the iconic openers, 1,000+ runs since that T20 World Cup. Then you have the experience of Fakhar Zaman, Iftikhar Ahmed, Khushdil Shah, and Asif Ali make that very power-packed middle order. They may not have had the runs, but they're a very power-packed middle order. Then there's Shadab Khan. In him, you have a leggy. Then there's Mohammad Nawaz, Naseem Shah, who's making his T20I debut today. Haris Rauf, who bowls really well. We've seen him do so well. And then there's Shahnawaz Dahani as well. So this looks like, despite not having the services of the likes of Shaheen Shah Afridi, this still looks like a very complete unit.
Yeah, I mean, we do talk about Shaheen Shah Afridi a lot, but that's only 1 over. So
that's scarred us so badly that we just keep going back to
that. So coming back to that comparison of who's better, Shaheen Shah Afridi or Jasprit Bumrah, there is no comparison. So any team will miss Jasprit Bumrah more than Shaheen Shah Afridi any day. Now coming back to this Pakistan lineup, I think this is obviously the openers. They are the main pillars of the side. But I think there are a couple of players who I feel are very, very important. Is Fakhar Zaman and Asif Ali. I think Asif Ali, who bats at 6-7, the kind of role which Hardik Pandya does or Dinesh Karthik does for India, he does that. And Fakhar Zaman again, if he gets going, he can do wonders. We saw that what he did in Champions Trophy final, and now they're already 5-6 years with more than 5-6 years of experience after what he did. So he'll come back very confident. Another thing, India doesn't have an off spinner in this side, where Fakhar Zaman would be facing Ravindra Jadeja and Yuzvendra Chahal's Googleys, or maybe the medium pace. So India don't have an off spinner.
Taking the ball away from
Yeah, correct.
So I think these two are very, very important. Obviously, Babar Azam and Rizwan are their main pillars, but that puts a lot of pressure on them to maybe one of them to bat till 14th or 15th over.
But conversely, Joy, Pakistan don't have a left-arm seamer. So India are not in trouble anymore. At least in the start.
Yeah, not in the start. But see, Pakistan, the one thing they do is that they produce a lot of good fast bowlers.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it. Because what happens is that in India, sometimes the Indian system actually suits or used to suit. Now things are much better. People like Parthiv and all are going out and finding people early and making sure that they're not, made the way standard bowlers used to be. But otherwise, India, you discover a bowler, but he'd be bowled so much by the time he's 17, 18. So many people have worked with his action that he'll start at 140 and end at 120, That no longer happens. Whereas Pakistan, comparatively, because their domestic structure is not so good, they get a lot of raw talent. And raw talent is immediately fast-tracked into the team, and then they get a chance. So some of them are really raw, but they're really talented bowlers. So they always have that pipeline coming through. So the question though is that in matches like this, and especially big matches, this is a really big match. If somebody like Naseem Shah gets a couple of wickets, he's a young boy, he's a 19-year-old. He gets a couple of wickets, his tail is up, he could be a different bowler. But on the contrary, he's not the most experienced. Remember, in this one whole year, Pakistan's played one T20 match. So if he gets it, how he reacts. So it's a talented but inexperienced bowling side, which is what is interesting about them. And I think left, right, whatever, I think their bowling attack always has a certain amount of talent, but it doesn't have, say, the canniness like people like Waqar and Wasim, or even after that, who played so many matches that they just understand what the game is about. That they don't have right now.
I mean, that could be an advantage for them as well, especially when you're young, you don't think too much about it, you don't, carry any kind of baggage with you. So I think, but to me, Pakistan, as you rightly said, they're always bowlers, they have a factory of bowlers coming in, and once, so Shaheen Shafii gets injured, you get Naseem Shah, who's again, he may not be left-handed in-swing bowler, but he's right-handed in-swing bowler. So that's how the cricketing culture, grows about it. And when we talk about Mumbai cricket, where, there was a time where batsmen used to come from there and bowlers would come from North India, or spinners would come from South India. And similarly, Pakistan has that culture of, fast bowlers coming from that side. So, that's what it depends on how you've grown up watching whom, and that's you try and implicate them.
Who are your heroes?
Who are your heroes? Who are your heroes? But in that Pakistan batting lineup, because of course Pakistan are batting first, if you look at that top two, Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam, they've been on some other level. PP, Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan, 1,000 plus runs since that T20 World Cup. But what that does is, because one is their approach, of course, they take it cautiously. They first build a platform and then try and explode, which is why the middle order hasn't gotten runs. Do you still agree with that kind of approach? Because India had that kind of approach, and they've changed it.
It all depends on the kind of bowling you have. So with Pakistan's bowling lineup, you can still afford to, play the way they are playing, because they know they back their bowling. They think, if we get 160, 165, we have bowling which can defend our total, which wasn't the case with the Indian team. But I obviously do not agree with that kind of approach with the Indian team. I've been saying this about 2 years back, that India needs to go out and play the kind of cricket which they are playing now. But yeah, Pakistan, and with the quality also, you have to see whether they have that kind of quality. Do they have that kind of experience to play 6 and 7? Those are the most important and most difficult numbers to bat. So and obviously Babar Azam and Rizwan, they have the quality in them. So someone has to play 15 over. You actually plan accordingly what kind of bowlers you have. You do not plan according to your batting lineup. You plan according to your bowling, because even if you score 250, someone's going to get you to 251, so that it's of no use. Or if you can get 150 and your bowlers can defend those 150, you play accordingly.
Does that then, Joy, put more pressure on this inexperienced bowling lineup now? I mean, if the batters bat the way they have, and we saw the numbers, the middle order won't score runs, and if you do not get those big runs,
they are now that team. And let me tell you, this is a standard thing. Even IPL teams, they think that way. Nobody says, I'm going to go and get the maximum runs. They say that, okay, we are a kind of team, if we get 180, 185, we can defend on this track. In some days in KKR, in Gautam Gambhir's glory days, 145 in Eden Gardens, 3 spinners, Sunil Narayan, take care, 150 you have to reach. So the problem is, this side is constructed for that. Now when you don't have some of the pieces that make that happen, and the fact that you don't have, we don't have Shaheen Shah Afridi, you can't change your tactic overnight. So that's their basic problem. Babar Azam and all are used to not taking too many chances up front. Whereas the current Indian team, the idea, at least the matches before this, now it'll be interesting to see how Rahul and Virat and Rohit do it. But before this, they were taking chances up front. Those top three were really going after it.
And the thing is, Pakistan is not playing T20 cricket. You don't know what kind of approach to go with. With India, India is still finding the way. India is still finding which kind of tempo they want to play with. You still hear, we'll play according to situation and all of that. But still, so advantage with India is we've already played so many T20 games. And even after this 5 plus another 6, so 3 plus 3 South Africa and Australia. So we'll have another 11 games to find out what approach we have to go with. So I think you have to play games to understand what suits your team the best. And that's why India can, afford to experiment. I think that's where you got to give a round of applause to BCCI the way before World Cup. I think they've made sure that India goes absolutely prepared and absolutely sure with their batting lineup, not just batting lineup, but the approach which they want to play with.
Correct, and that sort of transparency that they've spoken about, both Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid at various moments, they've said, even in the press conference leading up to this game, Rohit Sharma was very clear. He said, we'll continue to experiment, we'll continue to find that right formula, and perhaps in the build-up to that World Cup, Indian fans would hope that they find it. But the one man who's been talked about, especially since yesterday, since that interview, Virat Kohli. Now, Rohit Sharma had something to say about him as well when asked about how does he see Virat's preparedness, because they were batting together in the nets. And Rohit Sharma said that he's just like how we saw him earlier. He hasn't made any extraordinary changes because he doesn't need to, of course. But the freshness is there to be seen, and that's something that we've heard from a lot of people. That freshness is important, especially when you are playing high-profile games. Now, Virat Kohli did say that I haven't touched a bat in the last 30 days. He did look fresh and all of that. But does this then put perhaps that extra bit of pressure on Virat Kohli right now, that now you have to score? The conditions are ideal.
See, honestly speaking, I don't think Virat Kohli has to prove to anyone.
Yeah,
okay. There is no question of Virat Kohli's ability. There is no question of Virat Kohli, the player. So I think the outside noise which he has always referred to is that Virat Kohli's form is around the corner. Everyone on this planet thinks that Virat Kohli's runs will come. So that's because the kind of player he is. So I think there's only one thing which can stop from coming back into the form is his inside noise, not anyone else's noise. Wow. It's so important about what he is thinking and how he wants to play. So I mean, no matter what we are sitting here and whatever we'll say, it does not matter at all, because we all think that I think Virat Kohli's form is just around the corner, and sooner or later he will get runs. But what matters is what his inside noise is saying. I think that's what he did, and that is the reason why he took break. Now he's looking fresh. It doesn't put pressure on a player like Virat Kohli. It just, to me, I think he just needs to go out there and play the way he's been playing. Just go out there, unleash yourself, go step out and hit flick first ball if you want, if you like. Just go out there and enjoy your game. That is the reason why you've got so many hundreds. We're talking about 70 hundreds.
Absolutely.
70 hundreds is a lot.
Crazy.
So he is a player. He's once in a lifetime kind of player. We put him in a category of what? So Gavaskar sir, Kapil Dev sir, or Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli. You put them into that kind of category player. There have been a lot of great players, but these are the ultimate players of Indian cricket, and we put him into that category. So we know how big player he is.
And Joy is firmly in that category now. Today he plays his 100th T20, the first Indian player, and of course the second in the world after Ross Taylor. But the first Indian player to play 100 games across formats. Look at that average, 50 plus across formats. We've spoken about the kind of runs he gets. And Parthiv is right. I mean, of course, he may look at it as a challenge, but on players like Virat Kohli, it's the inner noise that matters.
It's the inner noise. See, also somebody, I think Dravid has also reached now. I think what they would have said is, this is a tournament where, again, I'm saying this is not, in that sense, an immediate high-pressure tournament. Because, there's Super 4, there's this thing. Even losing a league match will not matter, because your next match is Hong Kong. Qualifying first or second makes no difference. Every team is playing every team. So they will tell him this is the best tournament in the world for Virat Kohli to hit form, because he does not. They know even if India loses this match, which hopefully won't happen, but even if India loses this match, there's a lot of other chances to play. That's number one. A lot of other chances to play Pakistan again. Maybe once, definitely once, perhaps twice. Okay. So this is the ideal opportunity for him, one match against Hong Kong, okay? And whatever Hong Kong's bowlers will be, I mean, I don't think Virat Kohli is going to spend sleepless nights thinking Hong Kong kaise bowl karega. Okay?
Hong Kong's bowlers are going to spend sleepless nights.
But so that is where you are, okay? So he has an ideal opportunity, a lot of tournaments sometimes don't look high pressure, but they are high pressure. Like World Cup, that match, you lose one match and suddenly the whole lot of pressure comes on you. And at that time, if you remember, India had just finished the IPL. It was a tired team. The team was tired. They've been in bio bubbles for a long, long time. And Virat suddenly out of the bio bubble, and you could see in that interview him enjoying himself, just enjoying meeting people. How difficult a bio bubble is, you have to ask any cricketer. And that's what I'm saying. So this is the best. These 7, 10, 11 days are the best chance for Virat Kohli. And he's one of the greatest players the world has ever seen. I hope he takes full advantage of it.
Correct. The stage is set. The spotlight is firmly on Virat Kohli, where it belongs. And you know, at concerts, how it happens, there's a lull, the musicians play, and then they come back with a bang. I say Virat Kohli today is going to come back with a bang. Dil keh raha hai aaj, sach mein. But stage is, of course, set for you all as well. You can send in your questions, hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live. Have you sent them today? Yes, you have. Let's have a look at what our hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live question for the day is. It's, of course, being sent by Pravesh SK10. Thank you, Pravesh, for sending your question. He says, India's current batting lineup last played together in the T20 World Cup. This combination has not taken the field in any bilateral rubbers since. What is more important for the success in ICC tournaments? Continuity or squad depth? Now, Pravesh is right. I mean, this combination played back in that T20 World Cup, of course, apart from Dinesh Karthik, and now they're playing here. This combination hasn't played in those bilateral rubbers. Where do you go? Continuity, or do you go with the kind of players you have and you say we have a set combination?
So now continuity. And before that, you had a chance of squad depth. Okay. You had time. That's why I said playing games is so important, so that many players get their chances, and that's exactly what India has done. Now, I think more or less India is prepared with their blueprint, thinking this will be barring 1 or 2 players here and there. I think this could be the lineup which they want to play with, at least 13 players, and Jasprit Bumrah comes in, and obviously depends on how Dinesh Karthik's and Rishabh Pant's form, or maybe there's something which I am thinking is it won't be a bad idea for Virat Kohli to just open and see how Rahul's form's hitting. So I've been saying that, and yeah, I think continuity from now. I think that was something which I felt that India, the same thing going into World Cup. Before that, India had not played the same lineup. It's all about knowing your partner, how is he playing, who is he comfortable batting with, so or hitting runs with. So that's when you start thinking in terms of I can take him on, but I can save my partner and he can take single. So that's when the that chemistry is very, very important, not only for openers but throughout the batting lineup. So now I think continuity is important. What India had to do, India has done. India has already created the depth. Now it is about continuity and backing the players which they feel can take field on a World Cup, first game of the World Cup.
That is so true. Joy, you've, of course, managed so many sport teams. It becomes really important, especially for cricket teams. You've worked with KKR so closely. Chemistry is really important heading into such big tournaments.
Yeah, chemistry. But chemistry has been good in India because I think Rahul's there. They're a young team. And also what's happened is we've had some really big wins in the last few years. 2021. Brisbane, stuff like that brings the team together a lot. And I think because of a lot, this Indian team is as united a team. I don't see factions in this Indian team at all. It doesn't happen. One very important thing, and I was just thinking about it, Parthiv, that one of the reasons why, if this next World Cup had been played, say, in subcontinental conditions or continental conditions, maybe you would have looked at KL Rahul and Virat Kohli and said, you don't really need them, okay? You're going to Australia, okay? And players like Ishan Kishan all are really exciting players. But to be that kind of player when the ball is bouncing around here and you haven't played that, I'm not saying he's not talented enough to play there, but when you haven't played that much in conditions like those, is the reason why India feels that if they can get this top order, this experienced top order, the Rahuls, the Rohit Sharmas and this thing together with some young talent, if they can get these guys to perform, then they have a very good chance. That's why they're talking about it. Otherwise, I genuinely feel that if it had been a subcontinental World Cup, somebody like a Rahul also may not have got this much of a rope or this much of an opportunity to say that, we need players like him, because it is going to be places where we are not used to playing in these conditions. You can't go out and whack like you would in the Wankete. When you're going to play in Australia, it's not going to be the same kind of game. And that's why they need these class players. So they're saying, here, let's give these guys, we've given everyone a chance, so we know who our replacements are, iske liye ye. Now these are the this is my core group. Let's get it together.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, because there's always a method to madness, right? Where you just can't go out there and keep hitting sixes. And when you're playing in Australia, we won't get 180 or 200 games as much as we could get in subcontinental conditions. So I think that is the reason why the experience also makes it a very, very important part. And Virat also said in his interview that playing according to situation also makes a huge difference. I think and that can come only with experience. Though all of this, whether you talk about Shreyas Iyer, Ishan Kishan, or any player, or Deepak Hooda, these guys have been playing IPL for a long time. It's not that they're just
experience in their own way.
The experience they have, but it's just the conditions. Whether they can get used to these conditions or not. That's the biggest question. That is the reason why India is still backing this batting lineup, and obviously there is no shortage of quality in KL, Rohit, or Virat.
But with a tweaked approach, because Rohit Sharma said, I don't need batters in my lineup who score 70 of 60 balls or 70 of 50 balls. He said, if a batter in the top orders gets me 30 of 12, 13, I'm happy. He's done the job for the team. And that's a good thought process to have. That's a good role clarity to give to the players as well.
You need backing. You need your captain and coach to tell you that, we want you to play in certain way, and you will get your chances. I mean, see, when you're playing certain way, this way, there are chances that you will get out. You need your backing if you're playing the way your captain wants to play. And these are the numbers which clearly it says that how the power play strike rate has improved from 118 to 140 from middle over. These are the most crucial numbers. I think 114 to 133. I think that's where the games always set it up. I think these are the most important. We do always talk about power play numbers and death numbers, but the biggest improvement is at 133. I think that makes a big difference in Indian team's approach.
Correct.
I'll also tell you one thing. Rohit Sharma is not just sending a message to the Indian team and his batters. He's sending a message to himself also. By saying it, he's saying, I'm taking that pressure on myself. I'm also not going to bat for 70 of 60 balls. So that is a big thing. So by making a statement like that, that's a statement of intent also aimed at himself. And I think that's a big one to say. It's not a coach saying it. It's not Rahul Dravid saying it. It's Rohit Sharma taking responsibility saying, we cannot bat like this.
I mean, in Rohit's interview himself, he said that we had a chat with Rahul Dravid and we wanted to play a certain way, and Rahul Bhai agreed, and they said, this is the way forward. So it's a team's decision, and that is the reason why, you see a lot of backing. You see a lot of guys getting a lot of opportunities. And about Rohit's approach, I think, he's always the first one to step out and hit. And if you look at the approach change, and, I mean, when your captain is doing it, it just gives that right signal to everyone that there is only one way. If you want to stay in this team, there is only one way we can stay, is by playing with a certain approach. You might get failed. There is no doubt. In this approach, you might see India bundled out for 100. There is no doubt about it. But but the percentage of winning would be more with this same approach, because the world demands it right now.
It's a great story. I used to work with the coach Dave Watmore, who was with Sri Lanka during the '96 tournament. And I remember what he had told Jayasuriya before that '96 tournament. If you remember, Kolavutarne and Jayasuriya started opening. And he knew that Jayasuriya was a slasher. He used to bat at 8. Jayasuriya started his career batting at 8, 7 and 8. Never batted at up. So he said, I'm going to get you to open. Okay? You can hit, just slash. You are a slasher, slash hard. If you slash softly and tentatively, I'll drop you for the next match. Okay? But if you slash hard and get out 10 times out of time, you will keep your place. So what you do then is, you're freeing the player. Rohit is also doing exactly that. I'm freeing the player. My approach is, boss, I want my players to go for 13, 12 balls, 13 balls. He gets out for 0. He knows my captain wants me to go. So you're freeing players by saying, the responsibility, you just follow the process. The responsibility for this thing is not yours. This is the team decision. This is how the team wants you to bat. And it's a clear message, absolutely.
All right, correct. If you look at my smile, you'd know.
I think there's a wicket.
Message. Yeah, there is a wicket, but it's a review, so we still have time. But effectively, what Rohit Sharma has told his team is that your way is the highway. Go on it, cruise. Don't worry about anything else. Some of you cruise through Joy Factor questions. I have never been able to do that. Let's see if I can today. Mr. Joy B, please take it over.
Okay, it's an interesting one. In 2002, which cricketer scored 2 test centuries within a month against a team when none of the venues were in his country or the nation he played against? That means 2 centuries in 2 neutral venues against another test team.
You should actually see mine and PPPD's face. I mean, PPPD stumped. He's trying to figure it out.
No, I just feel it's an Australian. Might have played.
Don't give it.
He's doing well. He's doing very well.
Yeah. So you've got it.
I'm just guessing. I don't know which player, but I'm sure that is an Australian.
All right, that's a big hint to all of you. It's India-Pakistan Day. PBPD has decided to give you some sort of a hint. But right now, we move on to the next guessing game of ours, which is, of course, how much will Pakistan score? Now, I've given you a hint for myself because it's India-Pakistan Day. We're all happy today. How much will Pakistan score?
I'm going early, 151.
151.
I'm going low, 140.
140. I say 130. Keep it within the family.
Wow.
Why not? Why not?
I like it.
प्यार किया तो डरना क्या? But then the news is that, of course, the wicket that Mohammad Rizwan, of course, was given out, but the review has overturned that decision, which means it's time for us to go. The game is going to be really exciting, but it's time for you to go and check out Summer Stalemate on Cricbuzz Plus as well. That iconic India-England series, of course, all 5 test matches recapped in one of the most finest fashions. Of course, we have Michael Vaughan, Harsha Bhogle, Dinesh Karthik talking about all of it with HD match visuals. It's one of those documentaries you cannot miss. There's so many inside anecdotes. You're going to love it. I loved it. But it's time for us to go. Thank you, Mr. Joy Bhattacharjya. Thank you, PPPedia, for joining us. Thank you so much to all of you as well. We'll, of course, see you at the 10th over mark with Cricbuzz Combox and then with Cricbuzz Live. This was Cricbuzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. We'll see you very soon.